Today, I have a really amazing guest on this IG Live. So, you guys are going to want to stay tuned as we dive in on moving from pain to purpose. That journey, and if you're on that, if you're experiencing emotional pain, physical pain, any sort of pain, it is helping you on your path to purpose. And we're going to get to dive in on this deep today. My guest, we're going to invite her on. This is someone very special. I've been really excited to have this conversation. And it's interesting because I have these uh, intuitive hits of people that I know we can just have a really in-depth, amazing conversation with. And so I like to bring them on. And there she is. Yes.
Hello.
Are the blonde priestess and you're spiritually guided coach. So appreciate the work you're doing in the world. You're also an astrologer. You do human design reading. So I've been so excited to get you on here and get to share you with my peeps and our tribe. And everybody pull up a chair, grab your favorite beverage, and let's drop in. So cheers.
Cheers.
So,
Cheers.
Christina,
Have a-
such an honor to have you, love. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I was super honored to be able to share some space with you. I've been really inspired by a few lives I caught you do. Mark, one of them from Enlifted Coaching, and I think it's so relevant too for our topic that we have, pain to
Hmm.
purpose, isn't it? Like
Yes.
you, human design, one of the most beautiful things that I found is that it really helped me, help remind me of my purpose in a really zoomed out perspective. And then as you study human design, there's so many layers that you can go into to where you can actually get super specific on what your role is and what your gifts are. And
Yes.
yeah, so human design, we need your birth information to run a chart, and we get this beautiful chart that shows energy centers in your body. One of the biggest things you can learn from human design, from knowing your human design, is how to better make decisions and how to, especially for you, Charles, this is important, how to best
Hmm.
enter into agreements and decisions based on what's true for your body and true for yourself, and not so much.
And many years ago, and I've always followed my intuition to, different ways of getting to know thyself and like teachers along the way. And so I was lucky enough to be called to some really amazing teachers, and they shared my human design and read that for me and realized, like, holy cow. So I'm a splenic projector, which is, yeah, it's like less than, 20% of the population. Actually, splenic projector is even less than like around 5% of the population, right? And
Yes.
so this might blow your mind and open your heart. My wife and my daughter are also splenic projectors.
Wow.
Yeah. dove into this, how well, we all like sleep really well together. It's like
Yes.
there's a generator, it's totally different. And yet we work really well with generators, manifesting generators. And so for me, for those that aren't really familiar with human design, this was what I tangibly took away from it that I've implemented in my life that has made things so much easier for me. Knowing that I'm a splenic projector, I have to pay attention to my authority, the spleen, which is such an intelligent organ. I mean, this is an organ physically that's regulating where our energy is needed most in our body, like whether it's needed for digestion, and we need to put, the throttle on digesting food, or if it's needed for, immunity boosting and cleansing something in our system that doesn't belong there, and it can up level our immunity. So that's why when you get maybe the flu or something and you feel nauseous, that's your body's intelligence saying, this isn't a good time to eat, because we need full throttle, all your energy to, cleanse whatever is moving through you right now. And so it's really cool tuning into that. That's the physiological aspect of the spleen. And so for me, it's like that translates into, I get to pay attention to my very first intuitive hit. Like when somebody, invites me to something, or there's an opportunity, if I don't pay attention to that, like splenic, gut response, that intuition, then I instantly, if I miss that intuitive funk yes or no, then I'll go like right up into my head, overanalyze things, and like, oh, what are the pros and cons? And then I'm like this long process of indecisiveness. Whereas when I trust my body and I tune into that intelligence and just really like use my breathing techniques, slow down, tune in to the infinite intelligence in each and every cell, and be like, oh, this is a funk, yes, like full body expansion. Or if it's a maybe, then it's a no. And so that has been such a game changer for me in my life, because I was trying to operate as a generator for so long. I was like spearheading all these missions and, like, I got to just do. And it was like, I was so exhausted. I was freaking like floored. I had to take naps all the time. I was like, what's going on? And so I'm not a generator. So I'm more of a teacher. So I'm here to teach and fine tune things and help, and I work really well with generators and manifesting generators. So it's really fascinating. That was the biggest takeaway that I got to implement and gain massive results from. And love for you to expand on that at all.
Yeah, I think projectors have one of the hardest times because they are a minority, of course, but a lot of times projectors really, really feel, because of that, they don't have this, consistent sacral energy. So for anyone that isn't familiar with the chakras, it's that really powerful creation center right below your belly button. And so projectors are always feeling like, I got to do more. I got to keep up. I got to keep up. And usually this starts in childhood, where they're conditioned to, not be standing in the corner of the room observing. They're like, get in there, go play with, go make some friends, go play, get rough, just be a kid, because the majority of the population are generating beings. And so from the very beginning, projectors feel it's not safe to kind of hang back, observe, and cultivate their ability to manage. And that's what they're really here to do. And so projectors, I always say, my teacher, Jenna Zoe, I studied under her in London, actually, and she always references the projectors as the bird in the tree. And so, and then the rest of the types are pretty much like the zebras and the lions and the cheetahs, and we're all kind of built similarly, running around eating each other or getting eaten. We're just But the projector, you have none of those tools per se, and your purpose is so far from that it takes a lot of self-assurance for the projector to say, my strength is in doing less, and is in watching and observing. And so it's really beautiful that your wife and your that
it's amazing
as well.
Like for me, it was, my dad was a stickler early on, like 10 years old. I was like, had me out on the job sites doing crazy jobs, digging ditches and all the stuff, for working like for $1 an hour, trying to, ingrain this like value of $1. And I appreciated him doing the best he knew how, but he was a stickler about like, you got to work really hard, to make money, and then you can play hard, right? And I was like, well, this working hard thing just doesn't resonate with me.
This kind of sucks. Yeah.
I tried that for like so long, and it just wore me out. And so
Yeah.
when I did my human design, I was like, oh, of course, like
Yeah.
I get to, because I have
Yeah.
these really powerful abilities and techniques for visioneering my future, getting super clear on my North Star, what it is I want to create, experience, and feel. And so when I use these practices, I teach this with my clients too. It's like some serious Jedi manifestation hacking. And as soon as I attune to that and get more clear on what it is I
Yeah.
want to create and feel and experience, I let my body, every cell of my being experience
Good.
it now, instead of
Good.
chase it or something outside of me. And then I chill and watch as I
Yeah.
go about my day, all the synchronistic people, places, things show up and opportunities. The puzzle pieces fall into place to allow for that experience to occur. And it's so fun to witness. That's my way of doing things.
Yes.
I much
It's
prefer that
beautiful.
over, trying to
Burnout.
spearhead. Yeah, totally.
We always call projectors as well, they're the sprinters, whereas generators and manifesting generators much more long distance runners. So they're here. The only way to satisfaction, which is our sweet spot, is to have a mission we're consistently working towards day in and day out. So kind of like the dollar, your dad sounds like a generator, classic generator.
Right.
So where as the projector, you're not here to be satisfied through physical exertion per se, although it will serve you for other reasons. But yeah, it's totally, there's so much surrender for the projector, and then even more.
We lost your audio for a second. I get.
Did
Go ahead.
you?
Yeah. Just for
Yeah,
that last bit. Repeat
I
that
had to
last bit.
respond. Yeah. Yeah. So for the projector with the spleen, the splenic authority, a manifester could also have a splenic authority. It's so subtle. When we're saying authority, that's the decision maker in your body. That's the place in your body where you're meant to really, kind of align with invitations, where you respond from, where you find your truth. So
Right.
the spleen is such a subtle, quick hit, and then it's kind of gone. It's
Right.
so it takes a lot of awareness, and then it's really great to not be influenced by other people's centers that might have maybe a really powerful sacral that makes you question that little whisper that you got that was your truth.
Right.
So someone asked if you can use human design for careers, and you 100% yes. And that's one of my favorite things, is looking at like going into a team and doing all their human design and doing their synastry. So let's say I did a hemp spa here in town, and we just did all the girls' charts, and we just ran them and kind of found some synastry and found some points where maybe different roles needed to be assigned. And it's extremely helpful, because the conditioning, projectors are often conditioned to work harder even than a generator, whereas they actually need to be doing even less and using their skills in a more kind of smaller, precise container.
Absolutely. And so I'd love to transition this into, and Shay's in the house. We got Danielle. The
Yeah.
bowling ball can kind of bounce off the extremes until it goes right down the center line to your purpose, right? So it's like pain is those paths on the side. It's like we bounce off these extremes, pain, and even like heavy emotions. These are all internal compasses.
Yes.
And pain, if we break it down, even emotions, it's energy, and energy is information. And so where this information is showing up in your body is giving you really big clues. And as we improve that relationship with our bodies and the intelligence in each and every cell, the
Yeah.
same power that beats our hearts, as you improve that relationship, you improve your relationship with your intuition, and then you can begin trusting and understanding these messages more. And this allows for so much healing, because
Mm.
it's like pain is a check engine light. You know, we can associate this with our cars. Right? And most people are pretty good about, if your car has a check engine light, like, uh-oh, I better go get it serviced and change something, right?
Most
And so
people.
we're pretty
Yeah,
diligent about
most
that.
people.
But,
Yeah.
but when it comes to, like, it's like we've developed so many coping mechanisms and strategies to just block out that check engine light,
Yes.
forgetting that that pain is trying to help prevent us from a major breakdown. And
Mm.
so when we, instead of trying to avoid it, going to the fridge to stuff it with something, going on Netflix to escape from it, going on scroll holes on Instagram, like looking for dopamine or pleasure or anything to get away from it,
Yeah.
instead going into it is where you can improve this relationship with, begin to understand what this information is sharing with you, so that you can make the necessary changes in your
Yeah.
life to realign with your purpose. And in this healing journey, which is the most beautiful part, I would say, is that you are going to discover so much about yourself, and so many new gifts will be
Yeah.
revealed through this journey, that then, you know, like any hero's journey, then on the other side of it, you know that you've healed, because you don't get triggered by the same things. You don't experience the same suffering patterns that you did before. And then you gain these lessons and blessings, these important gifts that you can then share with others to help them
Mm.
on their journey. And that just continues the hero's journey, and it's so beautiful. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. And so just think about, everybody listening, what has been some of your biggest challenges? What has been some of the things that you've overcome, or that most intense pain you've experienced that you then overcame, and how that shaped who you are today,
Yeah.
and how that, you know, like carved away what you're not, so that you could experience more of yourself, and what gifts that helped you reveal. I know
Yeah.
myself, man, my healing journey allowed me to, you know, get into meditation and discover how to get answers from within, and not seeking externally so much, and just self-sourcing, so that I could become my own drug dealer for these good natural feelings of oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine,
Yeah.
and use those as a guidance system to realign with my purpose. And I'll give one quick example of that,
Yeah.
because I think so many people can relate to this one. Anxiety, right? Like, how many people deal with anxiety on a regular basis? And even that word, notice how that A word has like almost like nails on a chalkboard kind of sensation in your body. It's like this constrictive,
Yeah.
and it's based on our meaning that we've created of that word from our past experiences of it. And so it's considered this bad thing, right? So for years, I had this low level anxiety that would get amplified in certain situations. And I tried everything to get rid of it or avoid it, or all the biohacks to release it, you know. But the only thing that worked was actually inviting anxiety in for tea.
Wow.
It was like knocking at my door for so long. And I was like, no, I'm not answering this. I don't like this feeling. Get away from me. And that does
Yeah.
not work. It
Yeah.
just keeps coming back.
Doesn't work.
And so knowing that, okay, let's reframe this. Anxiety is energy. Okay, so let's just call it that. So I'm dealing with a lot of energy here, right? And it's usually like up here in the headspace. And sometimes I'll feel it in my body and my gut. And so that energy is information trying to tell me something. So when I invited it in for tea and sat with it, holy cow, it was a revelation. It was so
Yeah.
simple yet so profound. It was like anxiety instantly became my friend, because he was showing me that I'm going to get amplified. I'm coming back and knocking on your door to remind you that, hey, you're getting a little out of alignment with your purpose here.
Yeah.
Meaning I was over consuming information, food, alcohol, all the things, over consuming, because we've been taught to
Yeah.
do that. We need all the things externally. that then um, I was getting further and further away from that bowling alley path of my purpose. And so every time I would get further from that, consume more than I'm creating,
Yeah.
anxiety would visit me, right? And knowing that, I was like, wow, thank you for this message. Like, I appreciate you. It's amazing how you've been trying to help me this whole time. And understanding this energy was a game changer for me, because then I got to choose. I can continue over consuming, and
Yeah.
this is, we know where that leads, right? Or I can choose to step into creator consciousness and begin diving in on all these amazing ideas I have to create, and all these gifts that I want to share, and all these messages on my heart that I want to share before I end up on my deathbed. Because my biggest fear over all the little fears of, like, what are they going to think? Am I going to get rejected? Is it perfect yet? All those fears are like minuscule compared to my biggest fear, which is deathbed regrets. It's like, my soul came here for some important stuff to share. And if I am on my deathbed and was like, oh, I didn't get to create that idea, or I didn't get to do that thing or share that message on my heart, that scares the crap out of me.
Yeah.
And it's all temporary. So that lights the fire. It's like a healthy fear. And that fear helps me now. It's like a little feather of anxiety or energy that's like, hey, just a reminder, you're on the path of consuming instead of creating. And so I'm like,
Yeah.
cool, got it, appreciate that. Let's get back to creating. And we are all epic creators here to share amazing gifts, talents, passions, like everything that lights you up. That is your path, like your path to joy, the things that excite you the most. You are take steps in that and create in that direction. You will be on the path to purpose, and you will experience less pain, heavy emotions, right? And even when that stuff comes up, it's happening for you. And when you understand that, then we can begin that self-inquiry. How is this happening for me? What am I to learn? What are the lessons and blessings in this? And what needs to change in my life? And what does this energy showing up in my body want to share with me, this information? So I'm sure you can relate to that. And is there is there a certain pain or like a quick story that comes to heart for you around that help unlock some of your gifts?
Yeah, and what you were saying is so beautiful. I love the analogy. I had actually written down before our call, I was kind of tuning in a bit more, and I wrote down pain is one of our greatest catalysts to growth.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that's always been, it's that old saying, when you get sick of your own shit, you'll make the shift.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes some of us, especially maybe the generator beings, we can go and go and go and run our stories for a very, very long time. And I've had so many instances of that in my life, where I would just keep going on that path. And as you said, completely ignoring the
Mm-hmm.
little feathers. Them, and I'm entering into a conversation, as you said, with what are you showing me, what have I, where have I stepped off my path here, or maybe I'm on the path and this is a part of it. This is kind of sharpening my sword into being what it needs to be for the next level that I'm going to.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes I think as well, we get very much so addicted to the fix of things. And I come from a belief that not everything has a solution right now. And maybe that's me being an emotional authority. I know just things take time.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say as well, a huge lesson that we can learn from the pain and discomfort is surrender. And as you said, exactly what you said, inviting it in for tea. We're surrendering to it. So we're not saying, go away, I don't want to look at you. Come in, what are you saying, and have a conversation with it. And then I
Someone
think
said
we're
anxiety
traded in for anxiety. I think as well, Charles, this conversation is so important right now as we're entering into the astrological new year. So I really liked this idea. I think it's great for anyone that's listening to it to really look at what can I let go of and leave with Pisces season.
Yep.
And as we enter the spring equinox and Aries season, it's a time to really focus on what you want to manifest and blossom.
Yes. Let's talk about letting go, because that's such a huge part of the healing journey, such a huge part of moving from pain to purpose. When you sit in nature, you get to witness nature has all the answers. It doesn't have to do anything, yet everything gets done in divine timing. You watch a tree, and throughout the year, that tree knows that by releasing and letting go of its beautiful leaves in the fall, that will allow it to grow deeper roots, taller branches, and even more beautiful leaves. We as humans, we just love holding on to stuff. It's like, no, don't leave me. It's so hard for humans to let go sometimes. And rightfully so, because we have these tour guides that are keep making sure we survive while we're here, right? And I've befriended my ego. He's a great teammate, and he's here to make sure survive through this human experience. And yet our souls are here not just to survive. We're here to thrive and expand, and we're on like the cutting edge of learning and expansion in the greatest way here in this earth, where we get to experience contrast, because it's not the same when we're in energetic form. And so this is a reminder that letting go, as painful as it may be, our society has not been taught how to deal with grief, how to create a ceremony around loss and letting go of things, so that it deserves a ceremony. It deserves a dance. Grief can be a dance. You can let your body dance through whatever, give it permission to move in any way it wants, to release liquid emotion, tears. Like, it's one of the most beautiful things. And how great do you feel on the other side of a cry, right? You let your tears fall, you let the ugly cry come, you got snot bubbles, all the things. So what? On the other side of that, you feel so much lighter, and liberation, and like weight has just been released from you. That's what's always available to you on the other side of letting go. Not only clarity, but also, this is where it gets really exciting. This is why grief is exciting for me, because I know that the more I can let go of, whether I call it 3D debris, like weight I've been carrying that I no longer need, then the more amazing energy and things and opportunities and people can come into my life. And trust me, there are so many amazing things that want to come into your life based on all the desires you have in your heart. They're waiting. They're like right here, but your hands are full. We're like still carrying all this stuff. And until we let go of it, then these amazing things can come in that are usually even better than we could imagine in our mind, right?
Yeah.
And
so true.
so it's beautiful, the process of letting go. As ugly as it may seem sometimes, or as painful as it is, it's always worth it. And what a perfect time to be addressing this. Spring, we just had spring equinox, and spring has sprung, and like clean out your cupboards, your closets, your all that space in your living space. It's taking up bandwidth in your mind, right? And so it's creating fog, and so the more we let go of, the more we can release. It allows for clarity. The more clear you get on your heart's desires, what you want to experience, and allow yourself to experience that now instead of chasing after it, then you're normalizing that in your system. This is the visioneering that I teach. It's so fun, and it gets really exciting because you can accelerate that process of manifestation just by allowing your system to feel it now. And Einstein even knew that imagination is more important than knowledge, because that's where everything begins. It begins as an idea, our imagination. That's why it's so good to be in tune with our inner children, our inner child, because they're the geniuses with unlimited imagination of what's possible. And that's what everything starts as energy and imagination, and then we can create it into this physical form. So letting go, such an important part of the hero's journey and the path to
Yeah.
purpose. And so if any of you are in that place, just know you are exactly where you're supposed to be. And the more that you can let go of, the more amazingness can come into your life. And it's just so important. So I can't emphasize that enough, especially this time of, existence on the planet. Change is happening at a more rapid pace. I don't know if you guys have noticed, like things are
Yeah.
accelerating, and
Yeah.
there's going to be even more change happening in the world. Like very soon, there's a lot of signs, signals, intuitive hits that I've been getting to be prepared for what's to come, because um, that song keeps coming to mind. I'm not going to go too deep into this right now. We can save it for another live. But it's the end of the world as we know it, right? And I feel fine.
Exactly.
End of the world as we know it now, because it's transforming, and so are we. And that's why this stuff is coming up right now in your experience. That's why we're feeling, intense pain. The intensity of the pain is literally like how important something needs to change,
Yeah.
right? So the heavy emotions are coming up, all the stuff, the 3D debris is coming up to be seen, to be learned from, honored, and released, so that we can make way for what's coming. And it's so important right now. Like, I can't emphasize enough, every one of you that's on this healing journey, I appreciate and honor you so much for showing up for this, because the greatest thing, we all have these aspirations of like, ourself better, and can come back to your natural state of inner peace and honor and learn from anything that's in the way of that, and see it as a blessing, love that too. Then you show up that way in your relationships, the people that are close to you, and then that creates more harmony. And then that's creating a ripple effect. And then
Yeah.
before you know it, without even trying, you're spreading smiles for miles, and you're raising the vibration of the human population, creating a ripple effect. So
Yeah.
this is huge. And I'm so happy and excited to get to dive in with you on this, Christina. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you feel called to share in regards to that path from pain to purpose?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things for me and all of the kind of phoenix moments that I had with my pain to purpose, is that every time I entered into a season of pain, yes, it took all of the things we spoke about, surrendering into the pain, releasing what no longer serves. For me, it's always emotional. So if that's also true for whoever's listening, there's a lot of things we can hold emotionally, and therefore we can't have anything come in physically new relationships or new jobs or whatever, because you've got emotional baggage you hold and
Right.
trauma stories that you keep really, really close. A lot of my clients I work with, we talk a lot about the past and the stories, and how we truly ever have is right here, right now, in this moment. And so I can't be fully present with you right now or anyone else if I don't kind of just release and surrender those things. And so I would say for everyone that maybe is in a really uncomfortable place right now, or just is getting into one, or they feel it coming, I would say one of the best things that you can do is nurture yourself. And I have a very big belief that mothering ourselves is one of the greatest gifts that we can give, because what often happens is when we don't mother ourselves, we don't love ourselves, we not only are we not getting close to our purpose, which is to be love, that we become dependent on others for to fill up those cups. So we become dependent on the addictions, the food, the Netflix, like you said, the relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're really, really far from ourselves, and therefore really far from our purpose. So just, I would say, be very gentle on yourself. And this is a season, if you're in this painful kind of moment, you're up leveling your DNA, right? You're coming to the next level. If it doesn't feel uncomfortable, you're not growing. And I
Right.
really believe in that. I know I try not to say too many cliches because they're mostly conditioning statements, but that one feels pretty true for me. I know when things are getting sticky, when I'm doing something that makes me nervous, I'm like, yes, Christina, go, go, go. There's something here for you. Um, just quick story. This last weekend, I was in Colorado for a Gaia conference, but I also went snowboarding in the mountains, and I had to go by myself. And I actually enjoyed time alone, but I had a lot of fear around it. I was like, what if something happens? These are bigger mountains than I've ever been on. I haven't snowboarded in a few years. And I really took it really deep, because that's kind of how my practice has become, because of the containers I hold for others. I just really try to hold myself to that standard of inquisition. And I went within and I said, Christina, you're literally here to help people be better lovers, be better to themselves, and to show up for the world as a light beam. But you have to do that for yourself. You have to be brave, and you have to do
Yep.
things that stretch you and scare you. So scared as I was, I just went down the mountain and fell like so many times. And this sense of accomplishment and reminder of my truth, my strength, which has always been there for me. I've always been a very strong being, was kind of emphasized through doing that thing that really was kind of scaring me and making me uncomfortable. So sometimes the pain is an invitation to say, like, do you dare? Like, do you dare to lean into this?
Yeah.
And hopefully you can feel out which it is. Is it surrender? Is it lean in? So yeah, that's one of the most biggest things I've seen in my
I
life.
love, yeah, it's huge. And notice whenever you're like seeking love or
Yeah.
seeking more connection, just remembering that, oh, this isn't something I need to deserve or earn. We don't need to earn love. We are love. This is what created us.
Yeah.
Love making. Our ancestors, like, think of how many ancestors had to make love for us to be here now in this human experience.
Yeah.
That deserves some honoring. And so we are love. So we don't need to seek it externally. So a great place to begin this journey is of remothering yourself, of reparenting yourself. This is the work that I do deep dive with clients on unresolved things from the past, parts of us that just need some rescuing, that these parts are crying for help. And oftentimes we seek externally so much for them. But
Yeah.
just think about, what is it that And so we have the opportunity to go back to those parts of us, support and bring that support, love, and safety. And it's amazing the level of alchemy that's available through that. I have an entire inner peace process I guide people through for this. It's so beautiful because you get to witness as these issues in your tissues finally metabolize and release. So the 3D debris, you can just offer it to Mother Earth so that she can compost it, transmute that energy into higher vibrational frequencies and creations of life. She can take our anxiety and turn it into flowers. That's the level of support that is right under our feet, the magic that's right beneath us that we tend to forget oftentimes. And we connect deeply to that. It creates a healing sanctuary that allows us to go to these parts. Us, bring more love there,
Yeah.
and alchemize this, gain the lessons and blessings through it, the deeper understanding of ourselves, the gifts, and share those. And in doing that, it frees up so much energy in your system that it allows a lot of dreams to come true. Like
Yeah.
it's really exciting what's available after doing this type of inner work, because you're able to release and finally let go of so much of these issues in our tissues, this 3D debris, the pain cycles. And the first thing I ask people when we begin working together is, they'll come to me with low back pain or neck pain, or even some emotional pain and triggers that keep showing up in their experience or in their relationship that's not in harmony. And they'll share, you know, we'll dive in on that, and I'll ask them, hey, do you want to heal this? Are you ready to heal this?
It's a big
And
question.
and it seems like such a simple question, and like most people are like, yeah, of course, that's why I'm here. But like really tune in, because some people aren't ready,
No.
and that's
Yeah.
totally okay, because there is a payoff to pain. And this is what a lot of people don't examine, is that the pain, sometimes people, those stories that they created when they're younger, like that's how they're used to getting love or support from others, right? As getting sick a lot or being in pain or ill or whatever it may be, that maybe that was how they were programmed early on to receive support and love. And so some people aren't ready to let go of that, and that's okay. It's all in divine timing when they're ready on that journey. But those that are, we deep dive, they learn, I guide them through the inner peace process, and then they're given this take home version of this inner peace process, so that anytime you're triggered, anytime something comes up, you feel uncomfortable, heavy emotions, you're hit with something on your nervous system, you can either, you have your Batman utility belt tool, breath, that's right under our nose to calm your nervous system. I teach an expansion breath. And then you can watch as your mind goes, hurry, get away from this terrible feeling, use all the things, just keep doing. Just got
Yeah.
to keep doing and go to work and
Yeah.
stay productive, right? That's a big one a lot of people can relate to, a huge strategy that we develop. Another one is, just escape it. Oh man, it's time for another, medicine journey, or, I just got to smoke another blunt or whatever the thing is, right? And in that one, in my own journey, recognizing when I used to smoke a lot of pot, I finally connected the dots and realized, wow, Chinese medicine, we know that the lungs are associated with grief. And
Wow.
I was wanting to use this as a coping mechanism, it was because I didn't want to feel grief.
Wow.
And I was avoiding that and choosing that coping mechanism. So now that I've developed this inner peace process, it's like when I get hit with that and that wants to come up because it's no longer in harmony with my system,
Yeah.
I have a step-by-step process I can take it through to go to the source of where that was created, how to release it, let that go, gain the lessons and blessings, free up that energy, and watch as it metabolizes in your system, and then allow for that visioneering of what it is we ultimately want to create, give, and share in this life. Watch as all the pieces to that fall into place and dreams come true really fast. It's
Yeah.
amazing. So it's such an honor to get to share this work. We have a couple more minutes. Um, for those of you watching that haven't connected with Christina yet, she is epic. You can obviously see her energy. Add her as a friend, follow her, check out her stuff. How could people reach out and get involved with you if they intuitively feel called to work with you?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for having me. And it's an honor to share space with you and talk about these things that I feel are so important. I love what you were saying on that note. I think everything you were speaking about is like what we do with deconditioning. So I would say 80% of my business is human design readings. And that's kind of what we cover, is working on the codes that have been programmed into your DNA that don't belong to you. And
Mm-hmm.
so, human design readings I offer virtually. I also do astrology, birth chart readings, and tarot readings. And then locally, I have an office here that's called the Priestess Collective. And so that's been a big vision of mine that I've been working on. But you can, if anyone wants to connect, you can connect with me on Instagram. It's a really good place. My
Mm-hmm.
email's on there as well. And yeah, it'd be a pleasure. I love sharing these systems that have helped me find my purpose and continue to help me go deeper into my purpose. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
man. So many amazing people on here. Just want to honor everybody for showing up.
Yeah, thank
I'd
you.
love to hear, drop in the comments something you gained, a takeaway, something you can implement, something that really resonated with you. Drop it in the comments. And for those of you that had any questions that we didn't have time to cover today, don't worry, we're going to do more of these, and I promise that I will address those. And I'm excited to get to dive in with you guys more on this. It's such an honor to have you here, Christina, the blonde priestess in the house, dropping codes and
Thank you.
blessings.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you so much, and look forward to doing this again.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And I thank you. Thanks for the work you're doing. It's really important. Appreciate you.
Love you guys. Be well. Enjoy, and and still am learning often.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people can relate to, oh no, I learned that lesson,
Yeah.
or I healed that, and then different layers of it come up. Boy, that can be frustrating, and
So
I'm trying
many layers.
to relate to that. And know that you're still on the path, and that's okay too, because you're looking at it, you've evolved since that last layer of healing. Now you're at a place where you can see it from a different perspective, and different layers of it will release to through this journey. So just want to honor everybody for showing up for this healing journey. Thank you for sharing your gifts, your talents, your passions with the world, and we're here to support you on this journey. Much love. We'll see you
Bye,
soon,
guys.
Christine. All right,
Bye.
ciao.
Thank you.
See you guys.